Your number one critic for edible greens and horror screams. Welcome back, High Reviewers. I'm your host, Alissa, and we are on to episode 4 of High Reviews. Alright, so my last episode, I watched an incredibly unpredictable scary film, The Descent. So this time, I'm wondering if I'll be going in a different direction that's not as frightening, but, you know, I could be surprised. Going to watch The Hunt. From what I understand, it's a film where there's a group of strangers, I believe 12 people, that wake up in a clearing. The elite or a rich group of people are conducting some kind of weird, probably, you know, just fun time chasing people or hunting them literally. I don't know. I'm just totally guessing on this, of course. I feel like a lot of us probably have views of how classes are tiered right now and how they've been tiered in society for forever. But especially now, I'm curious to see if there's any kind of messages or potential ideas that come from this movie in terms of, you know, the 98% versus the 1%, and if that boldens anything for me or brings up, maybe strengthens ideas or brings up new concepts or ideologies with that. But I'm kind of interested to see if it's a film that I'm going to enjoy in terms of, you know, the underdog rising up here and outclassing the high class. Really? Not much is going to go into this other than I'm going in blind, watching The Hunt, hoping it's a good time, and we'll see how it goes. And to pair with my viewing of The Hunt, I am going to do a serving of Tre House's Delta 9 Plus Syrup Watermelon Felon flavor. This was a recommendation to me from Hulk-R6Y. Thank you so much for providing my first recommendation on my channel. I appreciate it so much, and I really hope I enjoy this. I'll let you all know that the serving size is 1 teaspoon, which equates to 43 milligrams. Admittedly, I'm wondering how hard this might hit. So I poured it into a drink of mine that I'm going to enjoy here, and let's see how it goes. But I'm interested to see if this is going to be a lot and how this is going to affect me, especially sipping and enjoying form. But, you know, why not? Let's go out. Let's do this. Have a high-class experience. Let's go. 1 edible, 1 woman, 1 scary movie. It's time for High Reviews. Oh shit. Oh, you bastard. Oh, God damn it. Oh my God, you guys, I'm feeling very different today than I expected. I'm just going to tell you right now. I didn't get out of bed until noon today after watching The Hunt last night. And the reason for that is because of the edible that I tried. I took 1 serving, which was 1 teaspoon, 43 milligrams of the Tre House Delta 9 Plus syrup. That was watermelon felon flavor. And I mixed it into a kind of like carbonated spritz drink, and, you know, I enjoyed some cherries with it. And I drank it within a half an hour, but I didn't really notice much from it, to be honest with you. I'm actually kind of surprised. But I felt a little bit, you know, as I was watching, but not much. And then at a point, I got hit with the munchies. Like hardcore. I'm glad I had some popcorn sitting there because I was just shoving it in my face. I consumed that bowl of popcorn so fast. So that was something that I definitely noticed. But then it just felt kind of like, okay, this doesn't seem to really be doing much. I expected truly maybe a harder reaction or felt something a little bit more intensely because of the milligrams, 43 milligrams. It affected me differently than I anticipated. So what ended up happening is after I finished watching the movie, I, backed up some files and things like that, did a little bit of work to prep for editing, and I went to bed, and then I don't even remember going to bed, and then I couldn't get out of bed. I slept so hard. What I believe happened is the syrup finally did its magic in just, I guess, affecting me on a greater level, but I was already kind of sleeping or half asleep at that point. So it just kept me in this state of just kind of a comatose nature. Not that severe, but I definitely struggled trying to get up because I just wanted to keep sleeping. So admittedly, I'm a little groggy today, and trying to do this is a bit of a challenge, but I'm here with you. I'm going to try and get through this, and I will get through it. But that's kind of the main event that I am noticing as an after effect here that happened the day after or going into the next morning. So it definitely finally caught up with me. Thankfully, it didn't feel like, a truck hit me. It just kind of happened in my sleep, and then it was a struggle to get up. So what someone would call maybe a type of a pot over. That shows how strong it is. I think it's very strong. Even one dose that I did, I can't imagine. I read reviews that people do more doses than this. So that's crazy to me, but we all know how our own body works and what we're receptive to, how much we need dosing, things like that. But one was more than enough for me, I'll tell you that. As far as the taste for it, I mixed it in, like I said, kind of like a spritzer. It was like a water spritzer for me, a LaCroix flavor. I did the limoncello, and the watermelon, it wasn't an intense flavor, but it actually tasted like watermelon. I'm a person that really doesn't enjoy artificial watermelon or fruit tastes, and I actually liked this. It was nice. It tasted like the fruit, and not in a gross artificial way at all. Mixed in really well for the drink that I had. When I put the cherries in there, they were sitting in there for a while. It infused and kind of soaked it up, which it gave it this kind of like spritzer crispness to it, and that was a nice little treat that I enjoyed too. If you're interested in trying something that is a little bit more intense, or potentially like it could give you a higher effect, and it can vary because I didn't expect to feel this way the next day. I usually don't, so that was different for me, but I still appreciate the recommendation and trying something new. So if y'all want to give it a go and trying a syrup to add to some drinks, or you could probably even put it as a syrup like on something you want to eat, like a dessert. I think that wouldn't be strange, and actually like soaking it in bread would even be an idea that came to mind to me when I thought about this. If you do try it, be careful. So now to review The Hunt itself. I was completely wrong about what I was expecting as far as who the elitists would be in this film. I did not anticipate also this being a satirical movie on this topic. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I knew that there were 12 strangers, people that wake up in a field, essentially, that they come from all these different states, and there's a particular reason as to why they're chosen. Now, with the film, how it opened, it did remind me a little bit, especially the field clearing part. There was just like a little nod or a little I guess, memory that I had or connection that I made to the Hunger Games, except in this movie, these people didn't get to pick being, paying tribute to do this and participate in such an event. The Hunt stands on its own, and something that makes it uniquely different that I did not anticipate, as I said, was who the rich elitists are in this film. It is not what I expected, because it's typically painted as, in a lot of movies that do this with the elitists, typically portrayed as those who are garnering wealth and only care about money, and they are very Republican. I'll just say it, very conservative, very Republican. And the twist on this story is that was not the case. It portrayed both sides as doing wrong, both sides as having issues, and both sides not being completely free of error or hypocrisy. From a social media aspect that's brought into this, because that's a huge part of this and subject, is the social media side of it, in how that looks to the world from whether you're a liberal or a conservative, and how that can look from just one perspective online, and we don't really know people as individuals, and we don't really know the corruption, the double standards that are on both, and how we assume things about each other. So there was satire with that I thought was really funny, actually, because to me it was like, that's actually pretty truthful, or that's actually pretty accurate to what we've devolved into. And I say devolved because of social media in particular, how it has divided us even further and also only gives us one piece of a picture. So that was a huge part of this movie, and it was kind of the main component as to what brought this on for creating this game and why these people were pulled from these different states, and what was potentially assumed, potentially fabricated from just reading a post that someone made or that we assumed someone made. This film was released in 2020 during the pandemic. The administration that was in charge at that time was under President Donald Trump, as we know, and apparently a little bit that I read after watching the movie was that the discourse about this was that the Republican side and the administration at that time did not like this movie as to how it made people look, which I found really funny, because my view was that it actually made liberals look really bad in a way, exposing the hypocrisy with them while also stereotyping, I guess, both sides, both how a liberal would approach beliefs and what their thoughts are or opinions or trying to do good. And I say it like that because I think there are issues over there that could be worked on, improved, and that we need to look at both sides. It's not one or the other anymore. It is absolutely both. So, with that being said, I know there were some complaints about it's just like these typical examples or portrayals that aren't accurate. And to be honest with you, a lot of what I've seen on social media, maybe some of you can comment to this or what you think, but even since this movie came out, it has progressed even further in the direction of division and even more outspokenness in crazy ways and crazy theories, both true and also those that I question, as far as what's going on in our government, what is going on amidst us as people in this country, and what policies and or beliefs we have, whether or not they're being challenged appropriately and or worked on for the greater good. And I feel that on both sides, absolutely there is room for growth, healing, and a need for improving this division, as well as just trying to get on the same page about what is best for humanity versus the 1%, because yet again, that's shown in this film, and how out of touch they are with people, with the people of this country, and that they're living in a world that only they understand and or only care about, and it's not considering everyone as a whole. I felt like they nailed the head on that. I really do, because I feel like it is on both, and that there are problems where we can try to work together to meet in the middle, to try to see how we can incorporate from both sides to some degree. Obviously, I will say very clearly, if there is anything that is going against human rights, that you are going against the person's existence or the rights that they should have as humans, I don't care what political affiliation you have, you're wrong. And until people can understand just that core concept across the aisle, no matter what party you're part of, I don't think you're going to get it. And that's kind of the main meat of what I wish that we would talk about and do more. So The Hunt, I felt like did a good job of pulling in a satirical way, all these different things that we hear very commonly from both sides, where it's absurd, it's ridiculous, and yet I have read, heard and seen those kinds of things from both sides. And it's crazy because it's so accurate in that way. And my belief is that at that time when this movie came out in 2020, that there was such an extreme, it was such an extreme time in our country with the pandemic, and then also already both parties, the main leading ones, I feel there should be more than this, but regardless, the main ones, liberals and conservatives, the Democrats and the Republicans, that because both sides were already starting to divide at such an extreme level, that it didn't help that. It hit sore spots for people. And so I think that's why originally when this movie came out, it probably didn't do as well as I think it deserved. I don't think it's the most amazing film in the world, but I actually enjoyed it. And really, I felt like I could understand as an American, as a citizen watching this and how I observe a lot of these things, it fit. And I think that bothered people. It got under people's skin in that way where they didn't like it because it was too close to what could be true. I think that's great. I think they did a great job of doing that, and it deserves more credit in that regard. And piggybacking on that point about political stances and where we are, the main character named Crystal, who is a complete and utter just beautiful badass. I just gotta say, it was just fun watching her, not just for kicking ass all over the place in just such an awesome, just really entertaining way. Her attitude and how it was very clear from the get-go, she's going to be a prominent, important character that you are going to be immediately rooting for. At least I was. As soon as I saw her on screen for the first time, I knew, oh, this woman is a badass, and I don't think she's someone to be messed with, and we're going to see real fast why. She not only was exactly what I could feel that they were trying to give us an idea of right off the bat, with her being a badass and being able to take care of herself and do some heavy damage throughout this film. It was wonderful to watch. But also her demeanor and how she conducted herself. I loved this character that she was not oversharing. She wasn't even talking about her stance in any which way. And I feel like what's great about that is I can relate to that kind of person for those of us who are not choosing sides or anything like that, in terms of we have our beliefs, we have our opinions, but we're not running around trying to shout that out. That doesn't mean we don't exercise our rights or make choices to act on those or to do anything in regards to supporting those beliefs or opinions that we have. But she's not being loud about it. So it's the quiet ones that you have to watch for. She is absolutely a quiet one that you have to be on guard for. And also, I would want on my team for sure. But as far as the political side of it, I feel like Crystal represented those of us out there who are independents, or maybe we're not part of any particular affiliation, yet we are represented in having to navigate all of this crap and bullshit that is going on, and we're forced to have to navigate and survive it regardless of what's going on around us. And I think that as kind of a overarching, just general way of looking at this movie, Crystal represents those of us who are in that camp of we want what's best, we want what's good, and yet we're not picking a side, because the side we're on is for humanity to survive, to get through all of this, and to try to help each other for those of us who want to actually be helped and who are not trying to drag us down. I thought that character, how she went through the movie and everything that happened, was represented perfectly in that way, and I could relate to her absolutely 100%. And then you have Hilary Swank, who's there as Athena, and an ultimate battle between women that is not treated like some girly fight. I know I spoke on that about Juno and Sarah in The Descent as well, that they had a moment. But in this film, I just love seeing women fighting it out, and not in a way that is demeaning of like maybe the physicality of our sex, or that we're weak, or that it's gonna be this girly stupid thing pulling hair or some bullshit like that. Absolutely not. This was really enjoyable to watch, and there were some funny moments in that sparring match that they had where it was just goofy and absurd and ridiculous. And then there were moments that were paused in the movie where the dialogue was really funny in terms of what happens in fights or like action sequences in movies, and pointing to how absurd that is or just how goofy that can be. So there was some dialogue and writing aspects that were enjoyable. And since this was a horror movie, The Hunt had some gore, but it was more goofy and not as extreme. So the parts that were meant to be goofy, which there's a lot of that, it definitely was funny to me and just kind of like ridiculous. Yet there were some moments that caught me off guard where I was cringing, and as you'll see, I was very much reacting to it and feeling like, ooh, that's just like gross and a little uncomfortable, even though I know it's funny, or it's not an extreme horror film or anything like that. But there were a couple moments for sure that I definitely winced and had a reaction to, where the gore was effective, the horror aspect of it was effective. So there's some enjoyment with that too, for sure. I feel like this movie was picked apart in an unfair way, to be honest. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, mainly coming from people's discomforts and unwillingness to try to just see why they're telling this story and why it's being depicted like this. So if you want something kind of light and you are not adverse to being challenged and or just intrigued in maybe looking into politics in a different lens to some degree, and you don't mind that while enjoying a satirical horror, I recommend The Hunt. Definitely give it a try. See what you think and leave me your comments for that. I would really appreciate it. Okay, now we're closing out episode 4 here on The Hunt and Tre House Delta 9+ syrup. Let me know what you think of, my feedback here, and if you have any comments about the movie or even your own experience with the syrup if you've tried it. Also, thanks again, Hulk-R6Y. Appreciate your rec for the syrup itself. It was an interesting experience for me. Also, thank you all for watching. Please hit like, please subscribe. I really enjoy getting comments from everyone. Please give me a recommendation for an edible to try. Give me those recommendations for horror films to watch. Again, I'm open to a combination. I really would love to do that, telling me what horror film and what edible to try as well, to have a dual experience. You know what to do. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I will see you here for the next episode of High Reviews.